Hello, Habibis. Welcome and thank you for tuning in to Just Bleed Radio. Today is Sunday, August 4th, 2024, and this is the Weekend Roundup, episode 17. Welcome, everybody. Take off your shoes. Don't trek mud onto my rug. We're here on another beautiful Sunday to kick off our month-long celebration of bully season. A 30-day extravaganza of jubilance and joy to celebrate the reign of welterweight champion Bilal Muhammad. Yeah, there might be a small chance we get on to some of the events of yesterday's Abu Dhabi card here in a bit. But right now, we got some partying to do, fellas. If you're in a celebratory mood, please slip us a like and a subscribe. It only makes sense we hit 100 subscribers during this most wonderful era in combat sporting history. Now, while we're on the topic of celebrations and happy days, let's celebrate my co-hosting cohorts. How about the man who recently turned 32 years old and every day grows further into being as washed as the rest of us? He's the analyst of our group. We call him No Special.
Yes. One day closer to being a washed old fuck, but yeah, I'm doing good. Doing good. Thank you.
Then we got the dynamic duo of man and man's best friend, who are also washed in all the best ways. They do the mixing and mastering around here, and they go by the names of DJ Dave and Grandmaster Chatri. Me personally, you can call me Lazybed, aka the headmaster of lowbrow hijinks. Something feels off though, like I'm forgetting someone. I just can't seem to remember his name. Wait, that's it, our English correspondent. The man that better be ready for a long ride today. That's Dangermouse, and he's in for a doozy, folks.
Hello, guys. I was expecting some comeback for my antics last week, so yep, I deserve it. Well, I probably don't deserve it, but you know what I mean. I should point out I haven't come unarmed to this either, so deal with
it. As we get going here, like I said before, please do us a solid and pound that like and subscribe. Now, without further delay, it's time we get this shindig underway. DJ Dave, hit my music.
Remember what I told you, remember what I said, remember when I dropped you right on your head. Remember when I told you that we ain't the same, that you got all the more reason to remember the name. Remember what I told you, remember what I said, remember when I dropped you right on your head. Remember when I told you that we ain't the same, that you got all the more reason to remember the name. It's bully season, shouting from the rafters, forget them bastards. These contenders is actors, belt captured. We take it back to Shot-Town, the light shine down, alhamdulillah, it's time now.
Oh my God.
Loyalty, the hard work and the loyalty. Tried to stop it, but the haters couldn't foil me. The people holler, chasing, chomping at the dollar, make a killing, God willing, so we holler out, inshallah. The big baller, the shine and the sheen. A sharp collar, bring the fight on the scene. Break your spleen when he splat you on the mat. Put you on your head and make your waist fall flat. Y'all fall back, and at the same time duly eat this plate of crow, cause your son got bullied. Watch him levitate the levels that'll elevate. Big bully B, the crown king of welterweight. Remember what I told you, remember what I said, remember when I dropped you right on your head. Remember when I told you that we ain't the same, that you got all the more reason to remember the name. Remember what I told you, remember what I said, remember when I dropped you right on your head. Remember when I told you that we ain't the same, that you got all the more reason to remember the name. Fist up, raise it to the sky, champion of the world and the king of the shot. Fist up, now raise it to the sky, the champion of the world and the king of the shot. Remember what I told you, remember what I said, remember when I dropped you right on your head. Remember when I told you that we ain't the same, that you got all the more reason to remember the name. Remember what I told you, remember what I said, remember when I dropped you right on your head. Remember when I told you that we ain't the same, that you got all the more reason to remember the name. raise it to the sky. Champion of the world and the king of the shot.
I have willpower.
Fist up, don't raise it to the sky. Champion of the world and the king of the shot.
There he is.
I love it.
Look at that
I love
champ.
it. Yeah, man. Such a happy man.
I did post something in the meme section the other day that showed where I was living now, and because I haven't seen the fight yet, still haven't seen the fight.
Oh, wow.
That image is still correct. I think the only I have seen the clip of Bilal picking him up and dropping him on his head, but that's about it.
Can't even do him the pleasure of watching the fight.
No, that division is the belt in that division is dead to me until Shavkat Rakhmonov gets a fight.
Oh, that's bullshit. You know it.
Oh man, that was so good. That was so good. Whew. Let me wipe my brow here.
Yeah, I'm going to be less bitter about the state of English martial arts later in the show, hopefully.
Yeah, I was doing a bit of dancing and gyrating. I might have broke a sweat over here. Whew. Okay. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, bully season is officially upon us. Unfortunately, last week there was some kind of mix-up in the script, and we seem to have erroneously skipped the main event. No worries, however. Situation remedied. Chicago, Palestine, our guy got it done. What can I say, man? This isn't a bandwagon thing or a tongue-in-cheek reaction. I'm not memeing. This is true, genuine, real deal excitement from me on behalf of the man. I've been a Bilal guy since prior to him being a part of the Anik Florian family. And when he joined the team, that really sealed the deal for your boy. He's forever got a fan in me. Like I was saying on the preview show for 304, I had nothing against Leon, but foolish move on his behalf to dismiss Bilal. Now, I know it's popular and it's in vogue to be a bully hater, but god damn it, you got to respect this fucking guy. 10-fight winning streak, broke the 35-plus curse, did everything he said he would do, brought the fucking belt back home, motherfuckers. People could bitch about his fighting style all they want now. This ain't the first methodical, strategic champion we've ever seen. And the man is just that. He is forever a champion. That's something nobody can take away. So, yeah, super fucking proud of Bilal, and I am extremely happy for Jason Anik because they're super tight. Those dudes are like brothers, so I know Jason's absolutely through them. But yeah, just a fucking great time to be a Bilal Muhammad fan and a fan of mixed martial arts. We are in the golden era.
Yeah.
Nothing but fool's gold.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure Austin's probably got something that he could add here. Dangermouse probably doesn't.
To be fair, I did, if I remember correctly, my prediction was this was going to be a controversial, close decision in favor of Bilal. I thankfully, I'm glad that did not happen because then there would have been more on the back end of, well, did he actually win it? No, he emphatically won it. He took the fight away from Leon in a way that most of the wrestlers that were in this division could not.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, yep, that's the thing. It's that I come from a wrestling background, and when I see someone like Bilal, who is not the best athlete, he is not the biggest guy in there, he doesn't have the hardest punch, he does a couple of things really well, and you can see that this man put in the time and the work. And it's great to see someone put in all these years of work and effort, just finally watch it pay off in real time. And the fact that this man knowingly had an uphill battle going in Leon's backyard, pretty much nobody gave him a real chance. And even us on this show were kind of like, we weren't memeing it, but we were realistic about his chances. Like, we could see the thing happening, but it's a long shot. And he fucking did it. You cannot take away the win from him as much as Dana wants to, and as much.
Actually, if I can just
Oh.
interrupt there, Austin.
No,
You
no,
could in
no. You
theory-
had your chance. You had your chance to address this on the show previously. My time is now.
No, I haven't.
Dana tried to bury it as if it was unexciting. Like, oh my God, does he not remember the Matt Hughes era? Does he not remember the GSP era where we're watching GSP kind of lay on these guys? Leon was out there actually trying to fight this guy and losing. And Bilal was standing in the pocket with him and still trying to push the pace. He never stopped fighting. And that's the thing you can appreciate about this, is as far as you can say is that whether or not you appreciated the art style of how he won the fight, he never stopped fighting. That's what you can at least say about Bilal, is that man gave it his all.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that you could take the title away from him because he looked strangely jacked for a 36-year-old.
Oh, wow. Let the accusations come out, because you could have said the same thing about Leon when he was coming into this week. All right? Oh, my God. You said
Leon has always looked jacked.
So
That guy has a perfect physique.
get out
out of here. Get out of here with that.
I'm just throwing it out there. If it comes true, it comes true.
The hater rate is strong in this one.
It wouldn't be the first time a Dagestani fighter has failed a drug test.
It's not from Dagestan.
Yeah.
No, he wasn't, but he was training in Dagestan.
Oh, get out of here. Let the man have his moment.
Bilal would never do that. That would be haram.
Yes, agreed.
Okay.
All right, yeah, but we won't drag this on too long because this is sure to continue in the following week. So we'll move things along here. Goodness, that felt great though. It was good to get that, the truth out there. The truth is what sets us free. So.
Yes.
I've sensed the hate floating around the Discord the entire week, like a meow above London.
Oh shit!
All right. From Manchester to Abu Dhabi, we jet set across the globe this weekend to put on UFC on ABC 7, Sandhagen versus Nurmagomedov. We will be back in the UAE in October, but for now, let's dive into yesterday's fights. First up, straight to the main event and the names on the marquee. Bantamweight contenders Corey Sandhagen and Umar Nurmagomedov met in a bout that was intended to take place exactly 1 year ago. That fight would see Umar pull out due to a shoulder injury, and in stepped a short-notice Rob Font, whom Sandhagen defeated handily. Fast forward to present day, and these two would finally have their date. 25 minutes of action with plenty to take away on either side. Nurmagomedov would retain his O and deliver what would be the fifth loss of Sandhagen's career. Danger, we'll go to you first here. You can answer this question and then elaborate a little further if you wish. But here is the question. After the events of yesterday, in your opinion, is Umar doing the Nurmagomedov name justice and living up to the expectations set by his cousin Khabib and younger brother Usman?
I think absolutely. From what I saw, it's amusing. I was doing some checking on our fantasy draft show because I thought I'd picked Umar in that, and funnily enough, I had. I will take a bantamweight pick, I think, and I will take Umar Nurmagomedov.
Ooh,
Nice.
good.
But the amusing thing, I guess, it was against Cheeto, who was also on this card. So way back then, I knew that Umar's striking was pretty good. I didn't realize his defense was quite as slick, with the best strike absorption in UFC history when he entered this fight at 0.56 per minute. Not that lasted very long against Corey, because I think it took him 2 rounds and then that was it, record numbers for Umar to overtake. Very, very quick. 28 years old, coming into his absolute prime. I can see some problems with his technique, but overall, he was just too slick, too fast for Corey. Corey couldn't really stop him getting onto his back whenever they were getting up. It was just that Umar didn't really do very much with it until the 5th round, and then he had some fairly dominant position from there on. Not sure exactly how I scored this fight on the night, but I remember it was. I thought Corey needed a finish in round 5, so I guess I probably had it 3-1. You never know with these. It was close enough that I could have seen it being 2-2 at that point. But yeah, absolutely. Umar is completely living up to his heritage. I don't know what other word to use for it. I know Khabib was with him, but we didn't see him in the cage. He was just nearby, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he was in his corner.
Khabib was involved with getting him ready for this fight at the very least. I thought he was in the arena. I could be wrong.
Yeah, he was in the corner, wasn't he?
Yeah,
He wasn't. I didn't see him in the cage.
Islam was in the attendance outside of the corner. Khabib was his corner, and Javier was there in his corners too. So
yeah. So yeah, 100% belongs in the family with much better striking than Khabib ever had. I'm sorry, yeah, Khabib.
that's fair. That's
was
fair.
never all that much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then again, Umar doesn't have Khabib's wrestling either. That was clear as well.
Mm-hmm.
You are right, though. Defensively, he did look a lot more slick than I'd anticipated coming in. I thought that. Now, I don't know how much of that was Corey maybe being a bit hesitant, but nevertheless, Umar's defense looked phenomenal, and Corey, who's thought of to be, one of the best and most methodical strikers in the division, possibly in the UFC, really wasn't able to land much. So, yeah, fucking shout out to the defensive prowess of Umar. All right, Austin, let's talk the other side of this bantamweight equation. The Sandman is 32 and seemingly in the prime of his fighting life. With his performance last night falling short and a long road to the title ahead, is there any chance left that Corey Sandhagen realizes championship gold before his UFC run ends?
Well, I'll say yes. He's doing a hell of a speed run against some of the toughest guys in the damn division. I mean, shit. 3 of them have been former champions as of late. I mean, this looks to be a future champion, so I'll say 4th, and Umar. You can't say that he's out of the talk because he has faced everybody that has been at the top of this division. Possibly, some of them not in his control, but the others have been definitely guys who have just been like the harder of the group to even face. Now, he hasn't faced Merab Dvalishvili, nor has he faced Henry Cejudo. I mean, he's faced everybody else other than those guys. And now he's taking on Umar, a guy who he didn't need to fight. But he is honestly the most well-rounded fighter in this division. It's just he faced a guy that wasn't going to be denied in Umar, and Umar is the future champion of this division. And realistically, he's not going to stop taking these hard fights because that's just who he is. I respect that. There's not many guys that are willing to step out and fight the hardest fights because, in this game, a lot of the times you have to be selfish and you got to look out for your own career. Corey's that guy that wants to test himself. I believe he can be a future champion. We just need to see how the division plays out. Now, how long he stays in this division is another story because he is a pretty big guy for bantamweight. I mean, historically, the bigger you are, the older you get. And the older you get, the harder it gets to cut weight. I'm imagining Corey still has another year or 2 in this division for sure, even in this very stacked, very hostile division in the top 10. I'm imagining he can be a champion. I still believe. I can still see it.
Yeah, I could definitely see it too. I think that when you have that kind of skill set and you've got that kind of mental prowess that he has, very cerebral guy. Like you watch any of his interviews, especially the sit down that he did with Luke, just a very well thought out guy. Very clearly has a good head on his shoulders. Working with Whitman now. I don't know if that really bore any fruit in this fight, but I think the ceiling is still a championship with Corey Sandhagen. You can't count him out just yet. Like I said, 32, basically in the prime of his fighting life. He could still string together a streak of wins and get another title shot, I do think.
Oh yeah, he was ranked number 2 by the UFC's own rankings in this.
Mm.
He's literally 1 or 2 wins away from actually being back into the talks. Hell, however this division falls out, he's literally right there. They've never shied away from giving him opportunities, and he's always been willing to step up. Hell, they gave him the opportunity against Dillashaw. They gave him the opportunity against Aljamain Sterling. He stepped up on short notice to face Peter Yan in Abu Dhabi. Like, he's done it. He's been there. The UFC is more than willing to give him opportunities as long as he stays within reason of within earshot of the title shot or the title. He's there. And who you match him up against now is just another question, though.
Dangermouse, you in agreement with this? You think that Corey Sandhagen can still achieve championship gold before his run in the UFC is over?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe he could be the Michael Bisping of the bantamweight. Pull that late step into a fight, gets the solid shot, knocks whoever it is out. It's not impossible. Never rule it out. I think we've probably seen the best of him. He is 32. The lighter you go, the faster that decline starts, I think. But as we've just seen, or you've seen, Bilal has just got that stack kind of sideways a little bit. So yeah, why not? Whoever it is, it will be fun fights. Corey always brings it. I know he had that one where he hurt his shoulder, and we had a boring fight there, but generally he brings it. So
yeah.
Well, it seems we're all pretty much in agreement there. Okay, fellas. A couple other fights from yesterday for us to rattle through. Co-main event saw the pairing of Shara Bullet Magomedov and Polish punching bag Michal Oleksiejczuk. One of my favorite names to say there. But yeah, one of several decisions on this card, albeit with a few fun moments throughout the fight. The Bullet would get his hand raised here relatively easily and maintain the 0 on his record. Oleksiejczuk, who had claimed injury and speculated retirement leading up to this fight, never really managed to mount any offense. I do believe he's not long for the UFC at this point if he doesn't call it a career himself. But Shara is now 14-0 at 30 years old with 3 wins in the UFC. Guys, are we living in an era of MMA where a pure striker the likes of Magomedov can actually make a deep run in a division like middleweight? Austin, let's hear your take first.
Yeah, have we not already seen this in Alex Pereira? Except, mind you, this is the thing. Alex Pereira at least was a championship level kickboxer. Shara is not that in any form. Matter of fact, he was actually getting clipped early on in this fight. If you guys remember, what's funny is that Michal Oleksiejczuk has this ability to mimic Dan Henderson, which was interesting because he was doing the same kind of thing, except he was, instead of it being an overhand right, he was throwing an overhand left, which is not usually a normal thing you see. But it was hilarious because he would just do this little low kick and then come over the top with this haymaker from hell, just going over and barely missing. And then when it landed, most of the time it just kind of seemed to like put Shara on his back foot. But Shara was kind of one of those guys who he stayed in the fight. He didn't really panic so much as he just kind of just kept running the bike along the fence line and countering every time Michal did the same exact thing, not cutting him off, just going forward and then getting clipped or getting tagged, getting hit in the body, getting clipped at the high kick, getting jabbed into the body, jabbed to the face, and then getting kicked in the legs again. Like, he was just literally allowing Shara to just kind of go open season on his offense and just consistently just kind of walk in, land a haymaker, but then he would just get clipped on the way out or in. And that was the whole fight. That was the whole fight. And I'm not even going to complain that it's not so much that it's not entertaining, but I'm not seeing any development. And matter of fact, I think he did hold the fence again, which seems to be a tactic that he likes to use. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Except, fuck you. If you're not trying, why are you fucking bothering? but but here's the thing. He can only fight here. There's no empty opponents that you can't give him. There's no cans that you can't throw at him. My thinking is that who are you going to put there eventually that's going to make sense to where that's going to put him on a title path? How many fighters can you actually send over there to make it worthwhile and actually make him look like he's going to win? There's not many of them past like the top 20 that I would actually argue that he can beat. And even then, like as washed as middleweight is past like top 10 down, like there's a lot of them that are pretty much like rounded enough to actually put Shara in a bad spot. And I think even finish him. I don't foresee him actually making a run. Matter of fact, I think this is just more of an experiment to see if we can actually make a name for this guy outside of the local market. And I don't believe that's going to work.
Yeah, I think that the stock on him is super limited because just like you were saying that you can only fight over there in the Middle East. As far as we know, that's the only place in the world that will sanction you. So you're limited to at most, 3 fights a year? Most years 2. This year we went to Abu Dhabi twice, or we're going to go to Abu Dhabi twice, and then 1 Saudi Arabia card. So his opportunities to fight are limited. His opponent pool is limited because of that exact thing, travel issues on all ends. And then I did notice last night, it seems like for as much of a variety and a mixed bag of kicks as he has, he doesn't have much power. Now, Oleg Chaychik is, he's a pretty big dude, but he's known to be, a bit chinny, and he's been, I think, TKO'd in his last 3 fights, I want to say, 2 to 3 fights, or at least finished, because Holland got him with a choke. Yeah. But I'm pretty sure he has been TKO'd quite a bit. So, yeah, it seemed like maybe he's lacking a bit in the power department. A lot of variety of kicks, good speed, but I don't know if he is well-versed enough of a striker and lethal enough of a striker to realize the same success as somebody with what would seem a limited bag as like an Alex Pereira, but either way. Okay, so all right, Mouse, how about you? Do you think that we are in a rare period of MMA where a one-dimensional specialist can actually find great success?
I'm not sure we're going to see Bullet get great success. Style-wise, he uses that sidekick. He uses it just like a jab, keeps his opponent at a fair amount of distance. In this particular fight, we had Mikhail looking for angles all the time, as Austin was talking about, throwing from the left-hand side. That was targeting Bullet's right eye, which of course isn't really there. Again, going back onto the problems with commissions with that one. We'll say, though, that Bullet has developed some nice little defences for that. I don't know if you noticed, he was throwing like a forward right elbow, which brought his arm up to cover his chin on his blind side. And I think that's pretty cut Oleg Chasik with in the first round. So,
yep.
And he has that, I think someone described it, it's always known as Muay Thai, the art of 8 limbs. And he definitely has that. He's varied. He can throw kicks. He can throw punches. He can land nasty elbows. He's got a fairly decent good Thai plum. More on those later, I think. And the grappling side of things, there were a couple of cheeky fence grabs every time he blindsided the referee. No irony there at all. When he did get taken down at the end of the second round, he just chilled out for a little bit. He didn't really look stressed. I think he knew there wasn't much time, and Mikhail wasn't going to get the finish there. I'm going to go against Lazy here because I checked Mikhail's record before I watched the fight, and I'm pretty sure most of his recent losses have been to subs. He might have had 1 or 2 close decisions, but maybe Austin can fill us in, or Dave will. This one, very short notice fight for Bullet. He was on a film set, apparently. when he took this.
Yeah.
He's landed, from the stats on this they were given on the show, he's landed over 80 significant strikes in all 3 of his UFC fights. He's got that heavy kick game. So he's no straight up killer, but he is dangerous. He does need a little polishing. Most of all, which I can't believe I'm saying this about a Dagestani fighter, but his wrestling needs some work. So
yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, I mean, on the ground when he did get taken down at the end of the third, he did show us those nasty, nasty elbows from his back. They were causing Mikhail some real trouble. I think probably a lot of cuts as well. But like you guys have said, I can't see how much value he has outside of Saudi, Abu Dhabi. We have all those commission problems, so yeah, he's good. I'm not sure how high we're going to see him rise. Might be a bit like Paddy was with me last week and completely surprised me the next time he fights. But yeah, he's going to have to improve to convince me where he belongs somewhere high up in the top 15.
Yeah, now I'll go ahead and say that I am an idiot and I was completely incorrect. And you are right, Dangermouse. He has been finished by mostly all submissions. He's been KO'd one time. So
yeah, he score one the counter.
He did rock himself.
I was remembering all the finishes, but not correctly. Maybe he's got clipped a lot. I don't know. I just seem to remember him being a bit chinny. So who knows?
This fight didn't help him.
Okay, all right. If we ain't got nothing else on this one, we got a couple of last fights to hit on. Okay. First off, Davison Figueiredo gets a W over Chito Vera via decision. A very good showing from Figgy here, where he becomes the first man to officially drop Chito. Michael Chiesa wraps up Turd Ferguson with a rear naked choke at 3:44 of round 1. And then in a total mensch move, foregoes his own post-fight speech to give the mic to Tony, who in turn 50% retired and left everyone rolling their eyes. And then at one point, 3 men in a row did manage to string together some finishes. We had Kaue Fernandez, who TKO'd Mohamed Yahya in the first. Azamat Murzakanov TKO'd Alonzo Menafield in the second of their fight. And Joel Alvarez maintained his 100% finish rate as he TKO'd Elvis Brenner at 3:36 of round 3 with some violent knees and punches. Any of those fights stand out to you guys that you'd like to comment on?
Go on,
Mouse, you
jump
wanna
in,
go?
Austin.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. The Figgy situation seems to be interesting because the older bantamweight, as we were just kind of discussing, seems to have, former flyweight champion has found a second life at bantamweight and is basically asking for the title fight after this fight. And my thought is, you know what? I would not mind him taking out Henry Cejudo first before he gets that title fight. Just so I no longer have to see that, that little curly headed fat fuck, take the opportunity for somebody else that's undeserved, but whatever. Figgy looked good at moments, but not impressive. And the fact that he dropped Marlon Chito Vera was not by accident, and it wasn't a fluke that he dropped him. It just seemed like he threw it and was hoping to kind of back him up, and was surprised that he dropped him and then didn't even capitalize on it because he spaces his strikes and his offense so very, very far and few between. It was weird. The fight itself was weird. I'm going to be honest. Figgy seemed afraid to engage at times, and Marlon just doesn't engage hardly at all. But it was like 1-1 going into the third, and that drop from Figgy was the only thing that you can arguably say won the fight for him. And the fact that Marlon thought he won, again, just proves the point that he hasn't really learned his lesson. Offense is the best defense, and if you're not throwing offense, you're possibly losing and giving up rounds. And that's kind of the lesson you should take from this. You gave him one opening and he took it, and unfortunately that cost you the fight. Figgy, I think, needs 1 or 2 more before we can arguably say that he's next in line. Although the rankings will reflect differently, I'm going to say that, Figgy's that guy that's, he's in the plethora of that, great bantamweight division. Now, as far as I have one thing to say about Ferguson, it's like, here's this, you just need to retire. Just call it a day. There's no need to dwell on it. Just stop. Just stop. And anybody that's supporting you and waiting for, wanting to take another fight and offering Nick Diaz, and even then, that's like, okay, what are we doing here, really? Why are we doing this to this man? This man just needs to be paid a severance package to go away. This is the one man you can make the exception for. Come on.
That's something that we forgot to mention with the co-main event. Shara Bullet calling out both Diaz brothers. I don't believe he didn't specify which one. He just called out both. Either way,
God.
I did ask when we were watching live, live whether he just called out Nick Diaz.
Oh, yeah, I didn't realize until after he called out.
What the hell are you doing?
Yeah, he just called out the Diaz brothers.
Nick Diaz. Nick Diaz, let's go fight. You striker, I'm striker. You out, I'm junior fighter. Let's go, this is very interesting fight. Popular, these fans. Let's go, Abu Dhabi, October.
But yeah, real quick to touch on the Cheeto thing. Question for you guys here. Now, do the knockdown from Figgy on Cheeto, which, like I said, is credited as the first knockdown of Cheeto's career. As we know, we've seen Cheeto absorb hellacious damage on plenty of fucking occasions, including that massive knee from O'Malley in their last fight. Now, therein lies my question. Do we give all the credit to Figgy for this first official knockdown of Cheeto, for him carrying his power up from 125 to 135 and him just hitting that hard? Or do we think that this is the first sign of the chin beginning to go from that knee in the O'Malley fight? So, like, do you think that knee contributed to the drop in this fight, or is this just Figgy being a fucking hammer? Dangermouse, what do you think?
Yeah, it's hard to say that Sean's knee didn't contribute to this. It's like we had with Ferguson when Gaethje beat the bejesus out of him. It was never the same after that fight again. So, yeah, clearly Cheeto ate that knee like a good one. Then is this his next fight? Have I missed one?
Yes, this is his next fight.
Yes, and then he's been chinned by Davison and dropped. It's you chop a tree down, it takes multiple axe blows to drop it, but eventually one of them will go. We saw it with Gaethje against Max. It wasn't officially counted, but Max Holloway said, Gaethje knocked me down.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's going to happen. It happens to the best of them, almost. It's only the ones who don't take tons of punishment that can really hope to get through a career without being dropped. Cheeto is not that guy.
Yeah. My thinking is I think it's both. Like, this just plays into his style. He doesn't really do a whole lot offensively. So when he walks in and, throws, combinations, he's left himself open at times. It's very few and far between, and all Figgy had to do was just kind of circle on the outside of the cage and wait for him. And pretty much the moment he gave the opportunity, he just clipped him. And it wasn't even like the hardest punch that Figgy threw throughout the fight. It was just a great, counter. And, Marlon's been that guy that's just been iron chin throughout his entirety of his, career at bantamweight. But like, he's also been that dude that's just like bulking up and then cutting a bunch of weight. That might also be a thing that contributes to this, because A, he took a bunch of damage in the O'Malley fight, willingly took damage. And then B, he's also a bigger bantamweight. He cuts from like 160 to 150 pounds usually, and that might start catching up with you at some point. All it takes is a guy who's got natural power like Figgy to land a hand on you. He didn't look like crap in the fight. He just did the same thing he always does. I'm gonna walk you down, maybe throw a couple of hard punches, and you're just gonna keep circling around me. He still hasn't done anything to update his offense.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the future holds for Cheeto. I think that unfortunately he might be becoming a very high tier gatekeeper. Yeah. But before we move on from this card, if nobody's got anything else, just a quick props to Sharabulit and Oleksiejczyk, Joel Alvarez, and Azamat Mirzakhanov, as they were the recipients of the bonuses for this card. So $50,000 richer each one of those guys.
Of course, we couldn't go back to 100,000. God damn it.
No. He said that's over until we get a permanent raise in that.
And then lastly for me here, a shout out in defeat to Jordan Vucenic, who made his UFC debut on short notice against a very game Guram Kutateladze. Looked pretty amazing in the first round, and then Guram started to really come on in the second and third. Shame he took the L, but I still felt pretty good about him under these circumstances, and I'm looking forward to seeing more from him. So I do think that he's going to be a problem with a full camp and a scheduled opponent. So shout out to
Agreed.
Jordan Vucenic. Yeah.
Yeah.
The beast. Okay, let's make Dangermouse happy now. From the UFC in Abu Dhabi, we transition ever so briefly onto the PFL playoffs from Nashville, Tennessee, a rare event where the ladies stole the spotlight and the headlines for the night. First, 40-year-old woman Liz Carmouche met UFC veteran and former title challenger Talia Santos in a mostly grappling-based matchup. This was the first time Carmouche had missed weight in her long-tenured career. Unfortunately for her, the miss did not seem strategic, as she would lose a decision to Santos, which would lead us into the second women's fight of the main card, set to determine the second half of the flyweight final. Hot prospect and PFL pet project, dangerous Dakota Ditcheva, clashed against EKC Leiden's secret crush, Jenna Bishop. Lots of people thought that this fight may be the one where Dakota would finally taste some real adversity, but 3D, as I've taken to calling her, showed that she was indeed multidimensional, subverting the grappler Bishop and sending her home early with some pinpoint knees to the body. I know Mouse is ready to wax poetic on his darling Dakota, so I will stop yammering here. DM, what do you got to say about your dangerous namesake?
I love Triple D. That's a good name for it. Shout out to Lazy for that one. Yeah, quick shout out to the PFL for the opening show they did for this card. I can't remember the name of the track or the band, but it was a fun way to start this PFL Nashville, where, as you say, my favourite English female fighter, Dakota Ditcheva, was fighting against Jenna Bishop. Who she defeated in 3 minutes 54 seconds. Dakota, much like Tom Aspinall, does not like hanging around in fights. She's not there for overtime. As you say, I think I didn't catch what had gone on before, but I know there was pretty obviously something where I think Bishop had been suggested as a real challenge for her, because again I couldn't find much out about it, but her grappling, I believe, is quite high level.
Yes.
Yeah, so she did. I mean, she did get Dakota down. She had one real attempt there, didn't really capitalize on it. There was at one point Dakota actually started threatening a triangle, which was blocked by her own butterfly hook, funnily enough. But that allowed her to get up, and then Bishop allowed Dakota to push her back towards the cage, and then it was all over. Dakota grabbed that tie plum that I said I'd talk about later. Threw up her knee, that connected with Bishop's chin, sent her to the ground, followed it up with a cheeky little hammer fist. That was a lovely touch. And then instead of jumping down and trying to finish her, she just backed off ever so slightly, stood up and started beckoning her to her feet, which is kind of cheeky. I liked it. She didn't give her any ground at all, really. And then once Bishop got up, she was walked back to the cage. Then it was one teep, one straight right to the top of the dome, and that was it. It was all over. Bishop hit the canvas, referee jumped over the top of it, and then we had Dakota just walking around the cage making these shushing gestures at the crowd. You know, one finger up to her lips saying, "Shut your mouth, shut your mouth." I don't know if she was aiming at maybe a journalist or something down there too, or maybe it was someone in Bishop's corner. I don't know. She was clearly doing it close to the cage as well. But it was obviously about someone doubting her grappling skills, and this fight certainly answered those questions to some degree, at least. We saw,
Mhm.
she's up against Tyler Santos next, as you said, $1 million up for grabs. And for me, it would be tough to bet against the title and the money not ending up being Dakota's. She looked fantastic. She's 13-0 now. I think she's got one decision and one submission, and the rest are all knockouts. I think Dave might be going to throw something up about this as well, but I'll shut my mouth now. I've yammered on enough about that one. But yeah, go Dakota, go PFL. That was actually kind of a fun show. I enjoyed the prelims up to there. Again, just problems with time because I fell asleep watching the show. But curse of the English.
She looked fucking phenomenal. I mean, you can't take nothing away from her because you are correct, Dangermouse. Bishop, a pretty well decorated grappler. And there was a lot of folks in the MMA media, that are supposed to be intelligent and know their shit that thought that this was going to be the one where, at very least she was going to be truly, truly tested. And she did away with that pretty fucking quick. Austin, did you catch the Dakota Ditcheva fight?
I did not, unfortunately. I caught the highlights though, and Ditcheva looks like the real deal. I'm still hesitant to kind of give her that, that seal of approval just yet, because I would rather have seen her against a veteran like, Talia Santos.
Wait.
Or
You got to get that in the final.
I know. I would just like to have seen it sooner rather than later, because this is the apex where they have to meet. Because I would have liked to have seen it prior, but if I'm going to get that, great. I'm still going to pick against her just because I think Talia's definitely faced the tougher competition, especially defeating Liz Cumberge the way she did, and facing higher competition in the UFC. I need to see more. I just need to see more against other competition, because as of right now, those ladies did not have a name. It's not their fault. I would just like to see a little bit more, and we are going to get that. So there's that.
Yeah, I'm not even going to mention the heavyweight fellows of the night. I didn't really pay much attention to that. Like I said, one of the rare times that all the eyes and all the spotlight was on the ladies of the evening. So
Yeah, she was the only lady that did anything good for me over the weekend, because on the UFC card, the only two fights I didn't pick correctly were the two ladies' fights.
you did better than me then, because I missed quite a few.
Oh no, the fall from grace begins.
Yes.
Well, for you too.
One last thing here, and this might throw editor Dave through a loop here, but I do want to give a quick shout out to the BKFC event in Sturgis, South Dakota, for the old biker rally up there. A pretty fun night of fights, just your standard, typical, BKFC slobber knockers, nothing unusual. There was a couple of good knockouts, some gnarly cuts. The main event was the champion. I'm not sure. I think it's the women's strawweight. I'm not positive. Britain Hart. She took on Taylor Starling. That was a pretty good fight. Nasty cut on Hart at the end. As I was saying on Discord, I stole this from the one dude from Fight Disciples. She had Minjai. That might not only translate for our pals overseas, but yeah, Minjai. A fun night of fights for BKFC there. They had their largest crowd ever outdoors at the Sturgis rally. Connor showed up, had his fucking WWE style walkout to Guns N' Roses' "Welcome to the Jungle." Yeah, it was pretty good night of fights there. I don't expect you guys to have nothing to say on that. So
I was my only thinking on it. No, my only thinking on it was just like, okay, well, if he is the Vince McMahon of Bare Knuckle FC and Dave Feldman is taking a step back, I would be kind of concerned if I was Sean Perry now.
my Stone Cold Vince McMahon angle is going to come to life. I'm willing it into existence.
Dear God.
All right. Well, that's the weekend of fights for the most part. Maybe a couple things we could still mention, but I can't help but feel like this episode is just missing a little something. doesn't feel quite like us. You know what I mean? I think, yeah, I got it. I think we need to spill some fucking blood before we get out of here, guys. What do you boys say that we delve deep into the early days of JBR and we resurrect an old segment? Out for blood, anyone?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
All right, no more Mr. Nice Guys. You know what it is. You know the score. We each get an open mic to slice and dice a target of our choosing. Austin, no special? I hope you're ready for carnage because you've got the microphone and you're out for blood. Tell the people your target and go get them.
Warning, if you could, throw that disclaimer about being satire, not the views of the podcast, on the Out for Blood segment. Me and Austin don't want to ruffle feathers, but we didn't want to stop mass LOL.
All right. Thank you. It's been a while since I've done this, so might be a little rusty. But Dana White is my target, and I'm out for your fucking blood. Dana, you old biatch. Shout out to BC. This is a rebuttal to the old man that's been up way past his bedtime, shouting at the kids to get off his lawn at 7 p.m. in the evening through his bathroom window, even though his front yard is mostly weeds at this point. The old prick that nobody wants to talk to or have energy to argue with because he's just going to deny or give you some bullshit to kind of rebuttal back to you because, God forbid, he makes a point that actually makes sense. But seriously, this is my whole thinking right here. Dana, if you didn't realize that the time would affect all involved at UFC 204, the fighters, the athletes, the fans, the staff, anybody who had to be there, and then you come out and say that you were disappointed with the outcome. Like, who, what? Are you fucking goof? Are you serious? What are we doing here? Like, if you chose this event the way that you had planned it to be, you have nobody to blame but yourself. Here's the truth. When the UFC wants to, they are willing to move mountains and all manners of all efforts are used. They literally moved an event the week of Christmas after Christmas Day. Literally on a week's notice from Las Vegas to Inglewood, California for one man in particular. They've done that before. And matter of fact, this previous week's event, the Saturday's event, was in Abu Dhabi. You know what time the event started for me? 9 a.m. You know how great that was just to be able to wake up and watch fights on a Saturday morning? It was fucking amazing. I love that shit. You know why? Because I still have the rest of the time to just go through my day, take care of shit if I have to. But no, Dana chose the most awkward time for the local market in order to be able to give us an event that literally could have been adjusted for the local market and it wouldn't affect us at all. No, matter of fact, it actually would have been made it a lot better because most people want to be able to just watch fights on their own time. But no, God forbid, these fucking assholes at the UFC and Dana White included want to go ahead and just fucking penny pinch us right now, like they are at the Sphere, where the least expensive ticket is $3,000. Now, I am all for business and I am all for, maximizing profits. But god damn, when you are the elite, when you have brought in literally more money than all combat sports combined in the year of our Lord 2024, how are we going to justify keeping people up at 3 a.m. past that and then say, I didn't like the outcome? Because God forbid you didn't let Bilal Muhammad have his moment. What did you do immediately after in the press conference? You said, oh, it wasn't that great. Like, God forbid you actually went to a fucking gym and changed yourself. No, you don't. You don't do that anymore because you're too busy flying in jets going from here to there and not caring about what anybody else has to say because you're living in your own bubble. No, that's what we're doing here. Dana White's in his own bubble, and God forbid that guy actually reads the fucking room every now and again. No, Dana White, you fucking piece of shit. God forbid you actually look at the fucking calendar and plan accordingly and actually go about your business the way a fucking promoter should. Promote the fighters. Do your fucking job. Nobody asked you to be in this position because everybody looks at you and think, you know what? If anybody could leave the UFC and the UFC still runs like it's supposed to, it's Dana White. Thank you. Thank you.
Damn.
Yes, I had a lot more, but I had to cut it short. I felt myself kind of drag it on.
That was good. Ah, yeah. Ooh, Dangermouse, our count of casuals. You're always ready with the quick wit and sharp tongue. Surely you've got something in your sights that you've been meaning to give a verbal lashing. Why don't you tell us who's lined up in your scope and then aim and fire?
All right. Well, I had a few choices on this. I could have gone after my perennial favourite, Cyril Gann, but he's off making movies, so I thought I'd leave him alone. And then I almost went after another heavyweight fighter, John Jones, for, the entire Tom Aspinall thing, but we've pretty much done that to death. And then I thought of Dana, but Austin snatched him away from me. So, drum roll, please, Dave. I'm out for your blood, Bilal Muhammad. What's with all the inactivity? Why isn't a title defense booked yet? We need to see a name on a contract. Don't be ducking Shavkat Rakhmonov. Okay, I kid.
You got me. You got me. Oh my god! I was like, he just got the title.
Yeah, so my real target is a break from the MMA community. It's the International Olympic Committee, the IOC. First of all, we had that mess of an opening ceremony, which I know Islam Makhachev has been out criticising on X. And then we've had the IOC ignore tests done by a boxing federation, and they've allowed 2 fighters with XY chromosomes to fight in the women's category. And this is not about politics, it's all about science. We have Aline Imani Khalif, 25-year-old, was announced the winner by the referee of her fight against Angelique Carini, who quit after 46 seconds of being punched in the nose. The referee announced that she was the winner. Carini refused to acknowledge her opponent. Instead, she just fell onto her knees crying. That was the end of her Olympic dream. And Khalif was one of 2 boxers that were included in the women's draw in Paris. And they'd previously been struck from the competition by one of the boxing organizations for a failed testosterone level test. And they also had XY chromosomes. They are in some way male. But the IOC defended their decision to let her, and it was Taiwanese athlete Lin Yu Ting that was also allowed to take part. And the IOC spokesman said, I'm not going to comment on individuals. Then we had based Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni saying that I've been trying to explain for years that when taken to the extreme, some of these risk impacting women's rights. I think that athletes who have male genetic characteristics should not be admitted to women's competitions. And I agree with her, not because we want to discriminate against anyone, but in order to protect the right of female athletes to compete on equal terms. So here we go. We had, the Italian fighter quit against somebody who was tested for and had XY chromosomes. But I said at the start, it's all about the science. If someone was a haemophiliac, I'm pretty sure a doctor wouldn't let them fight in the BKFC, and that's really unfortunate. That would be really unfortunate for them. But life is cruel sometimes, and I can speak on that. I know it all too well, but I'm not going to go on me. But I'm very sorry for whatever medical or birth condition that made those 2 athletes ineligible for female boxing. But in this, to quote, and I'll end on a note of humour here to some degree. To quote Spock, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. So there's no hate on the athletes involved. To them, I say live long and prosper. Just prosper outside of professional sports, please. And the IOC, bloody sort yourselves out.
Oh, Jesus.
I may have opened a can of worms there, but
Hey, it's your soap stand or whatever it's called, soapbox.
Yeah.
I will say, pew pew, bodies are falling left and right, but the slaughter isn't over just yet. I got eyes on a target myself, and I think I hear something in the distance. Oh my, what's that sound? Do my ears deceive me, or is that what I think it is? It's Uncle Dana and the Excellent Turkey as they sweep across the Nevada sky on a magic carpet ride. And that music, the beautiful music. Why, is that the distant sound of mariachi bands? Yes, I can almost smell the scent of carne asada and shawarma. I can't believe it's time once again for our yearly tradition, Riyadh Season Noche UFC, presented by Bud Light. Yes, because nothing says Mexican Independence Day quite like a Saudi-funded and hosted event presented by a shitty light beer held in the heart of beautiful Las Vegas. Where better to celebrate Mexico than in a big metal ball in the stolen lands of the American Southwest? A Sin City spectacular, brought to you by everyone's favorite religious dictatorship. Vamonos! Turkey has a tight schedule to keep. He's at the Sphere on Saturday, but he's got to be back to Riyadh ASAP. Someone sent out a particularly unpleasant tweet, and they're simply not going to imprison themselves. Sometimes business never stops. Alas, the work of a tyrannical tycoon is constant, but he's not alone in this endeavor. As I said, Bootlicker Dana is right there with him, savoring the flavors of Turkey's sandal. Tastes like hints of blood money and crude oil. I wonder where Saudi flip-flops rank on Dana's list of Fuck It Friday foods. It's got to be up there, I'd imagine. But who cares about the footwear? How about this event? If I only had a nickel for every time I wished a white guy from Montana and a Georgian immigrant would headline an event dubbed as the, quote, love letter to Mexico, then I would have exactly 0 nickels. Nevertheless, one time only, a one-off, never to be duplicated, never to be outdone. It's time to go Vato Loco for Riyadh season. The biggest promotion by the bestest promoter. Forget Don King, we got Don Sultan, baby. Set your morals and ethics aside. Values be damned. Ain't got no use for human rights violations. Just pass me some bread. Because it's turkey time. The majority of the world may be in shambles. We may be mid-election year here in the States. A shopping cart full of groceries might cost you an entire paycheck. But god damn it, you need to drop $3,000 right now to get tickets to go see Daniel Zellhuber. Otherwise, what the fuck are you doing with your life? Now listen, guys. I got a whole lot more I'd like to say on this, but I'm actively being fitted for a sombrero that'll fit over my turban. So I don't really have much time. I just want to make sure you all know that this is the most preposterous and moronic event in the history of the fucking UFC, and I hope it fails miserably. Can't wait till next year when we celebrate American Independence Day in England with an event headlined by a Dagestani and a Brazilian. Fucking idiots. Hey, Riyadh season, Noche UFC, O'Malley versus Davalishvili presented by Bud Light. I'm out for your blood.
Yes. Oh my god.
I really
Holy
thought too
shit.
seriously.
Good. That one probably was the best, I'm gonna be honest, because it hit hard and I love it.
Fuck you guys. Stupidest goddamn thing ever.
It confuses me.
At least they didn't put a Spaniard headline in it like they talked about the one bit.
They were this
I mean,
close.
they should have. They probably could have, and that's they would have felt like, oh, he's Mexican, right? No, yeah.
Oh, that would have been the ultimate slap in the face.
Yeah.
That.
The
I
one
know.
considerate thing they did with the entire fucking layout of this event was not include Ilya Taporia.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Good times, good times. Whew. All right, ladies and gentlemen, please watch your footing. There appears to be copious amounts of blood on the floor. Now, one false move, and it could be your plasma we spill next. That's going to do it for this episode 17 edition of the Weekend Roundup. As always, we hope y'all had fun and enjoyed our tomfoolery. Next week, they shuffle us back into our cages for another fight night at the Apex. Spivak versus Tybora 2. Oh, joy.
Oh, God, no.
But at least we had a good time making fun of these big fat fuckers the last time around. So I imagine we will cut loose once again. Until next time, guys. For Super Dave and Chatri, No Special, and Dangermouse, I'm Lazybed, and this has been the Weekend Roundup. Make some noise, fellas.
Later.
That was a fun one.
Yeah.
We could all have gone for Dana there on Out for Blood.
I feel like we should have.
Yeah.
Just each of us have their. Yeah, it's like just a different reason that would be
record and do it on John Jones instead. Yeah. And while I'm on the subject of that, fuck you, Craig.
Fuck you, Craig.
Love you, Craig.
Hey, Craig.
That's not allowed, Dave. Yeah, well, I just nearly spat my cider across the keyboard there.
That does it! First round finish, and Dakota Ditcheva silences the doubters.